Today I'm giving you a list of 10 underrated Christmas movies. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Pamela. Today we're going to talk about Christmas movies. Christmas is the best time of the year. I've already started celebrating. I've decorated my house. As you can see, we have Ghostface wearing the Santa hat right next to me. I've already started watching Christmas movies. I've been watching them every single night for like over a week at this point, but let's get into what I think are 10 of the most underrated Christmas movies. Christmas movies that people don't really talk about, or at least I don't hear people talk about them very often. Maybe you've seen some of these, maybe you haven't, but let's get into it. These movies are in no particular order. I didn't really rank them at all, so this is just a list of 10. Number 1, we have Surviving Christmas. This one came out in 2004 and it has a lot of big name stars in it. It stars Ben Affleck, James Gandolfini, Catherine O'Hara, who is of course in Home Alone, and Christina Applegate. This one is honestly so good and so hilarious, and I feel like this one is so underrated. I remember watching this a lot on cable as a kid. It was always playing on TV, and then I completely forgot about it, and I honestly didn't rediscover it until about 3 years ago. And now it's absolutely a must-watch for me. I watch it every year. Ben Affleck's character doesn't really have a family, so he kind of hires James Gandolfini and his family to act as his own family, and they get into some crazy stuff. So funny. Ben Affleck and James Gandolfini's chemistry in this movie is hilarious. If you have not seen Surviving Christmas, you absolutely have to. Our second movie on the list is Just Friends. This one came out in 2005. It has a couple big names in this one as well. It stars Ryan Reynolds and Anna Faris, who of course is in Scary Movie. It also has Amy Smart. This guy plays Ryan Reynolds' younger brother in the movie, and you might recognize him from Freddy vs. Jason. It also has Julie Haggerty, I think that's how you say her last name, and she actually was just recently also in Christmas Story 2, which I actually think that one was a good sequel. Usually when sequels come out decades later after the original, something that is such an iconic movie, usually the sequel doesn't live up to the original. And don't get me wrong, Christmas Story 2 was nowhere near as good as the original, but it really was a solid movie. Just Friends is another one that is absolutely hilarious. Ryan Reynolds is so funny in this, so is Anna Faris. She really brings something to this movie.
Oh my god, that is so cute! I just want to eat you both up!
Oh my god. And I don't know, I just feel like I don't hear people talk about this movie a lot. I feel like it's not really marketed as a Christmas movie, even though it is. You know, the title doesn't make it sound like a Christmas movie. The poster doesn't really give Christmas. So I just feel like maybe a lot of people don't know that this is actually a Christmas movie. Ryan Reynolds' character and Amy Smart's character used to be best friends in high school. He was, you know, a fat kid and he was friend zoned, and everyone in school makes fun of him. He decides he's going to change his life around. He becomes this big time Hollywood guy. He's like a music producer. He hasn't seen his friend, Amy Smart's character, in 10 years, goes back to his hometown in New Jersey. They meet up again and he tries to win her over because now he's like in good shape, he's popular, he has a good job. Anna Faris's character is this famous musician who he represents, and she is just a crazy character. This one is so good. But moving on to our third movie on this list, we have The Night Before. This one came out in 2015, also has a bunch of big name actors in it. We have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, Lizzie Kaplan, James Franco. We also have Mindy Kaling, Michael Shannon, Tracy Morgan. Even Miley Cyrus makes an appearance in this. This movie is honestly so hilarious. Genuinely makes me crack up. I feel like comedies these days are just not funny anymore. And I feel like 2015 was kind of like the last year for funny movies. Maybe 2016. I feel like things just took a turn after that, but this movie, if you have not seen it, you absolutely have to watch it this year. These three friends always spend the night before Christmas together, you know, going out, getting wasted, going to parties, having fun. And Seth Rogen's character is about to have a kid. Anthony Mackie's character is like this famous baseball player, I think he is, some kind of professional athlete. So those two are kind of moving on with their lives and don't really want to continue this tradition of partying on Christmas Eve. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character doesn't really have a lot going on in his life. And they kind of agree that this is going to be the last night that they do this, the last year. So they try to get into this crazy famous party that they haven't been able to get into for all of these years. And the things that they get into this night, it's just so crazy, honestly, so hilarious. I feel like this one doesn't get talked about very often. Our fourth movie on the list is Holiday. This one came out in 2020. This one is a Netflix original. It stars Emma Roberts, Luke Bracey, Kristen Chenoweth. This one is another one of my favorites that came out pretty recently. You know, it only came out 4 years ago, so I gave it my fourth watch this year, and it's honestly so funny. If I'm being honest, there's actually not that much Christmas in this movie. The premise of this one is Emma Roberts and Luke Bracey's character, they're tired of showing up to family holidays without a partner, so they kind of just become friends and act as each other's holidays. So they do go throughout all the holidays throughout the year. They spend New Year's together, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter. So there really isn't that much Christmas, just in the beginning and the end, but it's honestly such a feel-good movie, so you have to watch it. Moving on to number 5 on the list, we have Deck the Halls. This is another one with Kristen Chenoweth. We just recently mentioned her in Holiday. Deck the Halls came out in 2006. It also stars Matthew Broderick, Danny DeVito, Kristen Davis, and Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito's characters kind of get into this competition of who can decorate their house the best for Christmas. Danny DeVito's kind of down on his luck, can't really keep a job, and he has this goal of having his house be seen from space with all of the Christmas lights. They get into some crazy antics. I don't know if this one is that underrated. I feel like this one might be a little bit more popular, but honestly, I don't really ever see people talk about it. So I'm just gonna say it's underrated. Moving on to number 6 on the list, we have Love Hard. This is another one that is a Netflix original. It came out pretty recently, 2021. It stars Nina Dobrev. I feel like a lot of times Netflix originals aren't really that good, but this one is very good. It's one of my favorites. Same with Holiday. These are 2 good Netflix original Christmas movies. But in Love Hard, Nina Dobrev is, looking for love, can never really find a good partner. She's on all these dating apps. She has this job where she writes a column about all her bad dating experiences, but she wants to actually find love. She finds someone on this app who lives across the country because she decided to broaden her, distance on the app. She lives in LA and usually she only dates guys from LA, but she decided to increase the distance on the dating app. So she finds someone from Lake Placid and, they're really hitting it off through text message and phone calls. And he tells her, "I wish you were here for Christmas." So she decides to surprise him and get on a plane and go surprise him for Christmas all the way across the country. And when she shows up, it turns out he was catfishing her. He doesn't look like his photos at all. He was using the photos of someone that he knows who actually exists in the town. And to make up for catfishing her, he decides to try to help her actually meet this guy, the guy whose photos he used. And this is just another one that is so funny. It's a feel-good movie. It has some good music in this movie, and you just won't be disappointed with this one. And the reason that it's called Love Hard is because the 2 main characters have a debate on what is considered the best Christmas movie. And he thinks it's Love Actually, but she thinks that it's Die Hard. So they combined the 2 titles and got Love Hard. Our 7th movie on the list, we have Unaccompanied Minors. This one came out in 2006. It has a few big name actors in this one. Wilmer Valderrama, Tyler James Williams, Mindy Kaling. This is another one on this list that Mindy Kaling is in. And this one actually has the kid who is also in Trick or Treat. This one is one of my absolute favorites from my childhood. I watched it a lot as a kid. It's about this group of kids who are traveling alone on Christmas. You know, they kind of come from broken families and they're traveling alone on Christmas to go see their family members, and there's a big snowstorm, so all the flights get delayed or canceled and they have to spend Christmas Eve in an airport. And they get into some crazy antics. Another hilarious one. I feel like this one is so underrated. I really don't ever hear people talk about this one. If you haven't seen Unaccompanied Minors, you have to. Our 8th movie on the list is Christmas Chronicles. This one came out in 2018. It stars Kurt Russell as Santa. He makes a great Santa Claus. It also has his real life partner, Goldie Hawn. She's playing Mrs. Claus. It also has her son, Oliver Hudson. He's in the movie. Also, Judah Lewis, who you might recognize from Babysitter Killer, I think that's what the movie is called. He was also in Summer of 1984, which is one of my new favorite movies. I just watched it for the first time this summer. But this one, you might have seen this one. I feel like it's a little more on the popular side, but still underrated. I honestly don't hear that many people talk about it. It came out 6 years ago, 2018, but it has that like classic Christmas feel. As far as like modern Christmas movies go, I feel like this one is going to stick around for a long time, and decades from now it's going to be one of those classics. It honestly is such a feel-good movie, has such a great message. Like I said, Kurt Russell makes a great Santa Claus. He has a musical number in this, which is like my favorite part of the movie. This one is about 2 kids, a brother and a sister. Their dad recently died. Their mom's not home for Christmas because she has to work at the hospital. She's a nurse, and the older brother gets into a lot of trouble because he's been having a hard time since the father died. The little sister still believes in Santa, and they catch Santa leaving presents, and they somehow end up in his sleigh. They go on an adventure with him. Santa loses his hat, which he can't deliver the presents without the hat, so they have to help him get it back. I just absolutely love this movie, and if you have not seen it, you absolutely have to. However, there is a second one, and I really don't care for the second one. In fact, I don't even think I've ever watched the full sequel through. I always kind of attempt to give it another watch, and I'm just not feeling the sequel, but the first one, honestly, amazing movie. Number 9 on the list, we have Trading Places from 1983, starring Eddie Murphy, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Dan Aykroyd. This is just a classic. I do feel like it's underrated. Dan Aykroyd is like this rich character. Eddie Murphy isn't, but they swap places where Dan Aykroyd is kind of, the poor character. Eddie Murphy gets to experience life on the rich side. This is a good one. If you've never seen Trading Places, you must. Our final movie on the list, number 10, we have Gremlins. Yes, I do consider Gremlins a Christmas movie. I feel like there is some debate about this, but it is so clearly a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas time. There's so many Christmas decorations and songs throughout the movie, and Gizmo was a Christmas present. I absolutely love this movie. I love it so much that I have a little Gizmo doll or stuffed animal. I gave him this little Christmas scarf. This one came out in 1984. In case you didn't know, Howie Mandel voices Gizmo, host of Deal or No Deal. It also has Neil from the Santa Claus. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Gremlins. I don't even need to tell you what the plot is, but I feel like it's an underrated Christmas movie. I don't know if a lot of people watch it at Christmas time. I almost feel like it's more associated with Halloween. When I go to Spirit Halloween every year, there's a bunch of Gremlin stuff, Gizmo stuff, which obviously I love to see, but I consider it more of a Christmas movie. But there you have it. Those are 10 underrated Christmas movies. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've seen any of these, if you're going to give them a watch for the first time ever this season. If you've seen them, let me know which one is your favorite. Thank you so much for tuning into another video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Turn on all notifications so that you don't miss out on future posts. And I will see you guys next time.